Ready, caller.
Time to go watch some marching bands.
Marching up and down the field.
Battle head to head, who takes the crown?
Meet me on the
Meet me on the 50. Meet me on the 50.
Meet me on the 50.
Meet me on the 50.
Meet me on the 50.
Meet me on the 50. Meet me on the 50.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Meet Me on the 50. This is Tuesday night, and we are back with another show, man. This is the Arrangers Battle, but tonight we got something special for you. Thank y'all for everybody who's been tuning in for these last 5 weeks. We've been doing this for about 5 weeks now for the Arrangers Battles, and tonight I want to call this an Arrangers Showcase because this is just tonight's going to be epic. Okay, if you a band head and you call yourself a fan of this craft, then you know very well you hear you know what to expect tonight. You expect to hear some legendary music. You expect to hear some knowledge drop. Tonight we have Mr. Paul Adams and Mr. Lindsey Sargent. Two. I don't even know where to begin. I know that like if you can't mention HBCU band and not mention these two names right here, they've done so much in this for the culture that it's endless. So. What I need you to do while you're here, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because you know this is epic tonight. I need you to tell everybody, all your friends. Make sure you get everybody over here tonight. Share this out on your social media platforms. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you have, and let's get everybody over here tonight. All right. I want to go ahead and let's go ahead and get the minute of the hour on. Okay. So let's start out with Mr. Paul I. Adams. Sir, welcome to the show. Oh no, I can't hear you. We can't hear you, Mr. Adams. There you go. There you go.
You can't hear me? Yeah, okay. I said, well,
no,
thank
I
you.
hear you perfectly. I hear you perfectly.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So this is Mr. Paul Adams. He spent most of his career at Norfolk State, but you've been all over, sir. You've been all over. You graduated from Southern. You know, you wrote a little bit for other schools, but primarily at Norfolk State University. Thank you for accepting this invitation, Mr. Adams. I know we've been in communication just in general about other things, it's business and things like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm a fan of your music first. And I think that's pretty much everybody here will say the same thing. So thank you for being on the show. So I want to also bring on the other man of the hour, Mr. Lindsey Sargent. Sir, welcome.
Hello. Very, very, very happy to be here.
There, Mr. Sargent, this is Mr. Lindsey Sargent, arranger for, I don't even, how long have you been at Florida A&M, Mr. Sargent?
I've been arranging for Florida A&M since 1975. Yeah.
1975. You know, these are, imagine, look at the screen right now, everybody. Just look. If you're a band head, you should be in like in a candy store right now because this is what we dream of right here. You know. So this is Mr. Adams, Mr. Sargent. We're gonna have some great music displayed tonight, y'all. You know, I want to get the show started, but I want to make sure I give you a chance to speak to the people. Some questions have come in, Mr. Sargent and Mr. Adams, also from some of your peers and some of your younger colleagues in the arrangement game. I got a couple questions that came in, but I'm just excited about tonight, and I want to thank you both for being on the show.
My pleasure to be here, man. It really is. I can't think of anything better to do.
Also.
I can't think of anything better to do on a Tuesday night.
I know. I see that piano right there. I think it might inspire you to write something. You know, have you been using that a lot?
Well, I practice every day. Still, I practice every day. This is what I use to MIDI to my computer when I write arrangements. So this is like my workstation. This is why I am almost 24 hours a day. When I'm not asleep, I'm here. You know, writing. So this is where I am, and I have a. You can't see it, but I have a piano here, and then I have a grand piano in the front room. So I have pianos all over the house.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I want to go ahead and get started. The way I explained the format to you is, I want to thank all of the FAMU students and the Norfolk students, they helped out a lot with getting together this song list for both of you, and I think you're really going to enjoy the show tonight. So the way we normally start it off, gentlemen, I got a quarter. You know, we typically do a coin toss, find out who goes first on this show. So, Mr. Sargent, would you like heads or tails?
Heads.
Let's go ahead and see what's got. Oh, it's tails, Mr. Sargent. It's tails. So, Mr. Adams, would you like to go first or second?
Okay. Second.
Second? Okay,
Yes,
so we're going to go ahead and get this show started right here. I'm going to go ahead and jump off the screen, gentlemen, and we're going to get this videos queued up. But go ahead and feel free to communicate. Go ahead and dialogue a little bit.
Okay.
You talk to me and Lindsey now?
Man, it's good to see you, Paul.
Lindsey.
Yes.
Great, man. Raise your light a little bit so I can see your eyes, man. I just see your chin and your neck. There you go.
How's that?
Yeah.
You good?
A little more, because when you sit back, it goes dark.
Come on.
You know, I had to go get a whole lot of light for myself.
I wonder why.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to keep smiling so people can see me. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay. It's great seeing you again, man.
Good to see you, Paul. You know, it's amazing how time has flown, because we've been knowing each other forever, it seems like. Yeah, and of course, ever since I was a student at FAMU, I used to enjoy your, that's the first time I heard you when I was a student at the university. And you were writing some songs for Southern University. I loved it, man. And you inspired me, actually.
Wow.
To start.
Wow, you're making me feel old, man.
You know what song?
I was a youngster when I started.
And you know what song it was? Got Me Going in Circles.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was memorable.
That's way back.
That's a dynamic story. Yeah, that's a story behind that. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that someday.
Yeah.
That's a major story behind that.
The first arrangement
Not only did I do Not only did I do the arrangement, but I was the guy behind understanding the geometry behind the circle. People don't know that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it had some other dynamics that people don't necessarily think about.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, I did the dynamics behind the circle.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mr. Adams. Go ahead.
No, I was just commenting. We're going to talk about that later, but we want to get on with it and to have fun, because I'm so excited to hang out with Lindsey again. The last time we were together, by the way, was at Honda Battle of the Bands on the sideline.
Wow, 2007. Oh, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that.
I was just talking. Yeah, I was talking about Jerome, talking to Jerome Reed about that picture that he owes us. So Jerome, if you're on this line, man, get that picture to us. Okay.
All right. Well, here we go. This is round one. This is Mr. Sargent, FAMU 2011 right here. Here we go.
Can't hear you.
Outstanding right there. That was 2011 right there. I want to say. So what was your inspiration for writing that tune right there, Mr. Sargent?
I could
Well, that tune was actually written
I couldn't hear
back
the
in
audio, Eddie.
that tune was written back in the early 80s or maybe late 70s when that tune came out with Earth, Wind, and Fire. And we actually, believe it or not, the band that we had at the time was very good. We did that tune as a dance routine on the field. As technical as it was, we did it as a dance routine, out there dancing to all of that, turning around, doing flips and stuff. And then we put it on the shelf and we brought it back as a part of our I rescored it just for the stands, and I just scored it as a stand tune. And that was my basic instrument. I'm an Earth, Wind, and Fire fanatic. I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. I think they set a certain trend in the band world. I can't think of an Earth, Wind, and Fire song that most bands did not play.
Right.
Every band probably has an arrangement of Getaway, of some version of Getaway, along with some of the other Earth, Wind, and Fire songs. But that particular one is just a part of what we play. It's a technical song for us, and this is how we get the band to a certain level technically by teaching articulations and stuff like that. So we play tunes that will get them to a different level. So that was the basic inspiration about that tune.
Gotcha. Yeah, you don't hear a lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire today. Do you think? Do you see that reemergence of Earth, Wind, and Fire songs coming back, or what do you think?
Well, the thing about music these days is that people ask me about my writing in the 70s. I was in my 20s. I didn't know what the hell I was doing back in those days. But when talking about the 80s music, and the 90s music, 2000, the difference in the music is in the quality of it. Back during those days, man, Earth, Wind, and Fire, some of the other bands, you had music that was just tailor-made for band.
Yeah.
And so it was very easy for us to do those pieces back then. Things like September and In the Stone and all these arrangements by Earth, Wind, and Fire, they became band staples. But what has happened is since the modern day rap music has come along, that music has been replaced with the rap music, and some of those rap music is not as musically interesting. Sometimes you have to, as an arranger, you have to create stuff. You have to make up harmony to make the song sound like it should. Because one thing we cannot write raps. We cannot write the rap words. So we rely on what's in the inner circle of those raps. And sometimes the tunes are recognizable, sometimes they're not. But when you played an Earth, Wind, and Fire song, or you played a song by the Commodores, you played a song by Lionel Richie, you knew what those songs were. And so it gave the arranger a lot of harmonic substance to write. So and I just think now there's a trend now for bands and schools to go back and play a lot of old school. I don't hear a whole lot of new school because this stuff just sucks. I'm just being honest. You might have a bass line and a melody, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's unrewarding for me to write because I'm just saying, okay, you want to play this? Okay, too.
Well, we're going to have to touch on that, Mr. Sargent, because we're going to speak about the FAMU move to the SWAC and the style of play in the SWAC. There's a lot of those kind of tunes over there. Put it like that. So I'll be curious to hear your opinion on that. Throughout the show.
Oh, I got it. I have.
All right. Okay, here we go, Mr. Adams. Let's go ahead and get your first round tune in. Here we go. You said you couldn't hear the music, Mr. Adams, right?
I didn't hear any of it.
Could you hear it, Mr. Sargent? Could you hear this? Could you hear the music?
Perfectly.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I didn't hear any.
Let's try it again. Let's hope it works out. Let's try it again. Okay. This is Mr. Adams. Okay. Round one. Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you
Outstanding right there. And Mr. Adams, you know, that opener right there still gets talked about today. You know, I know that's not a new song to the Legion, but that opener in 2007, you know, what can you speak on that song right there?
I apologize. You're breaking up. Say it again. What's the question?
I was asking, what can you speak on that song, that opener? Because you know, 2020, that show from Honda 2007 still gets talked about today. You know, what can you know, you put your foot in that arrangement, sir. You know, what can you speak on that?
Sure did.
Let me kind of make a little fun here. What was the name of that tune?
Faces.
You say what?
Started off with Faces.
You say Faces?
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I'm trying to, yes, it sure did. Faces going into what? And Love Goes On?
Yes. And Love
I'm
Goes On.
excited about that tune. Well, yeah, right. That's what it is. Faces and Love Goes On. What's exciting? First of all, Lindsey, yeah, you're right, man. We were part of that group, that era where Earth, Wind, and Fire was so far ahead of the times, and they made the music all of the time.
Right.
And I do feel challenged with what's happening now. And before we get into Love Goes On and Love Goes On, I do want to say that my beginning at Southern University was interesting because I had to do some James Brown. And so there's some ahs in that and a lot of rhythm. So that was kind of my indoctrination. But in Love Goes On, I think it's really important about the tune. Let me talk about that. First of all, one of the things that I'm sure that most band heads recognize in most of the featured tunes, particularly the drill tunes, is we have our signature somewhere embedded within the arrangement, and that is the Behold theme. That is a fundamental concept that I've done in arrangements with schools where I've participated, and particularly at Norfolk State because of the composition and Behold the Green and Gold. And that's a very basic application. The other thing is, I want you to know that the introductions and endings, and Lindsey and I have talked about this a lot. The idea behind the introductions and endings are critical because when you think about from a formal perspective, you have situations where you can present. I'm going to call it the overture. Let's keep it simple.
Okay.
And then you have the recapitulation, and then you have a classic ending, or if you will, the relationship to bring in the listener to the point of closure. So thematically, basically what happens for me is when I make a decision about doing an arrangement,
I think he froze here.
Yeah, seems like it.
Hey, Mr. Adams. Try to give him a call on his phone.
particularly because we
Let me give him a call.
sounds like we're reloading. Looks like we're reloading. At any rate, what is happening? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Adams, can you use your phone to connect versus your computer? Because I think it's better on your phone.
Yeah, I'll keep talking anyway.
Hello. Yeah, can you use your phone? I think your connection on your computer is it that's the one that's kind of. You are okay. All right. Let's because you were talking, we couldn't hear what you were saying. Okay. Yeah. Let's try. Okay, let's try it out. Okay.
If you don't mind me, I can almost finish what Paul was getting ready to say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Sargent.
It's just that some of the older songs by Earth, Wind, and Fire and some of the other songs followed what we called song format. Song format had a lot to do with the sonata allegro form, where you had your introduction, you had your exposition, and you had your transitions into into the then you had your development theme. You had the development, then you had the recapitulations. That's what old songs did. The songs in the 70s, 80s, and some songs of the 90s had that format, had that traditional that traditional song format. But the songs of today just doesn't. It just doesn't.
Can you hear me now, Eddie?
Yeah, we hear.
Yeah, we hear you, Mr. Adam.
I see your mouth moving, Lindsey, but I can't hear.
I'm not talking. Can you hear me now?
I do this all the time in my businesses, so I've never had this technical issue. Not like this. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Yeah.
Eddie, I see you. Looks like your picture's frozen.
Mine?
Hey,
You want me to call back in?
Hey, Mr. Sargent, how's it look
I hear
on
you
your
now.
end?
Say that again.
How's it look on your end? Is everything clear on your end?
Yeah, he's looking good. He's looking good here.
Okay.
Yeah, he's looking good.
Yeah, Mr. Adams, jump off and jump back on, Mr. Adams. Okay. All right. Hey, Mr. Sargent, I'm gonna go ahead and cue up your next song here, and then I'll try to help Mr. Adams out as well. Give him a call back. Okay.
All right.
And asked for forgiveness. She said, 100. Open up my heart in wireless digital.
secrecy.
Yeah.
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 Amazing arrangement right there, Mr. Sargent. Amazing, amazing. You know, without giving away any of your trade secrets, of course, you know, but FAMU has always had this surround sound, you know, that kind of delivery. Is that in the arrangement, or is it in the instrumentation, or is it a little bit of combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both. You know, I'm one of the arrangers who I'm very fortunate. I started when I was very young, but I had very, very good directors in Dr. William P. Foster and Dr. Julian E. White. You know, when they did an excellent job in interpreting my arrangements. You know, one of the things that Dr. Foster believed in, he believed that there should be a time in every show that we highlight the musicality of the musicians. It's not enough to get out there and shake it behind. He believed that because, you know, a lot of times black people don't believe, I mean, people in general, white people did not believe that blacks can play. You know, and one of Dr. Foster's thing was he had to prove himself as a conductor. So there was always a piece. So the concert selection became that piece where we would highlight the musicality of the musicians, and it changed from year to year. But this particular year, the Dr. Julian White was directing, and I wrote this piece knowing that it was difficult, not in terms of technique, but it was difficult in terms of the range of the instruments, and to play the phrasing. And I cannot remember any other band being able to play this piece. I'll send it to them. I'll send it to them, and they'll call me back and say, "Sorry, we can't play this arrangement. I can't play it because it was written especially for Florida A&M." And Dr. White, I remember when I passed it out, Dr. White worked that piece. I've never seen him in my life work so hard in getting that piece to where it needs to be, and I give him all the credit. Because he took my arrangement and made a symphony out of it, you know, with all the phrasing, and made sure that even in the upper register, that these trumpet players and baritone players, that they played in great in sync. So I was very proud of that, and I was very proud of that arrangement. It's one of the most difficult arrangements I've ever had to write. It sounds easy, but it really wasn't.
No, it doesn't sound easy. It doesn't sound easy at all. Yeah, that was outstanding right there. I think Mr. Adams, are you okay over there, Mr. Adams?
I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with my Wi-Fi, but I'm gonna be
Okay. So I'd like to go ahead.
My position. I see Lindsey well.
Okay. I'll go ahead and cue up Mr. Adams' next song. Here we go.
Okay.
I just changed the setting. Is that better, Eddie?
Hey, Mr. Adams, I don't know what it is about Music Soul Child's arrangements, but it seems like Norfolk and Music Soul Child is like peas and carrots. What is it about that artist? Because you wrote several songs by that
I'm
artist.
still
What is
waiting
it?
to hear you, Eddie.
You can't. Okay, you can't hear me. You can hear me, Mr. Sargent?
Oh yes, I hear you very well.
Hey,
All right,
Mr.
there you are. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask you to ask the audience to stop calling me. People need to stop calling because they're interrupting the feed.
Okay. Please stop calling Mr. Adams, people.
Can
Hey,
you hear me?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I do hear you. I had to move to another location so we could try to make this happen.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
I hear you well.
Are you using your Wi-Fi or your data on your phone, sir?
I'm on my Wi-Fi. I'm on my phone. I took everything off like you asked me. I took
Okay.
my earbuds off and everything. So I'm just holding the phone
All
up.
right.
To
All right. We gonna work through it.
We're
So
gonna keep
okay.
it going, okay?
Let's keep it going. So I was asking about Music Soul Child. So you've written several tunes by that artist. What is it about his songs that you really like those songs by Music Soul Child? Huh?
Oh, that was love, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was love. Right.
Well,
right.
what's happening with Music Soul Child? Yeah. Music Soul Child's music was classic in the sense that I felt a narrative in his music. It wasn't just a bridge, if you will, a lyric, a melody and a lyric. There was a message there, and capturing the mood. He literally, or his music literally, had a kind of soul about it that made you dig and think a little differently. At least that piece did for me. And because it was a feature for the flags,
I know somebody didn't call Mr. Adams again. Stop calling Mr. Adams, people. All right.
it gave me an opportunity to exploit several colors in the band that would
I'm not sure what's going on.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. Let's see. Hey, Mr. Larry Jenkins is on here. This is Mr. Larry Jenkins, head arranger from Tennessee State University here. He wanted to chime in and really just you know,
about Music Soul Child again. Back to and
And how you doing, Larry?
I can't complain. It's good to see you.
It's good to be seen these days.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm kind of dropping in just to ask a couple questions. First off, and I hope Mr. Adams can hear me too.
hold on, hey Larry, hold on 1 second, Larry.
Oh, yes, sir.
the blends that made the
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on.
tune
right here.
happen. I can also say that
We gotta do this the right way, y'all. We gotta do it the right way. I can't have no Teddy Riley stuff over here on my channel, Larry. No sir, no sir. No, let me give him a call back. Well, I can't call him because he's on his phone right now.
Right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead and ask your question, Larry. Just try to direct it to Mr. Sargent, and you can ask another one for Mr. Adams when he gets back on.
Okay. Well, Prof. Sargent, you already know how much you inspire me and many of us from our generation. And one of the things I wanted to ask, I actually wrote it down so I can make sure I said this right. So with bands and band culture constantly changing and going through, these different, constantly evolving, how are you always able to stay true to yourself, stay true to your brand and who you are as an arranger?
That's a very good question. First of all, let me just say that any good arranger has to be a good musician first. And any musician should have the ability to be adaptive to different styles of music. Just like I started off early in my 20s and 70s, and then 80s music, and 90s music. And my biggest challenge was to adjust to the music. You have to adjust to the music, apply the same musical principles that I did in the early days to the new style of music. So with that being said, I don't see a difference in the music other than the form and design of the music. But once you have established your musical principles as an arranger, that's going to carry through with anything that you write. And you're only limited by the band that you're writing for. Because even at FAMU, every band is different every year. So if we play one arrangement, if I do a concert arrangement 1 year and we want to play it 2 years from that now, I may have to go back and tweak it and do things differently. Because as a musician, I'm going to write to the strengths and weaknesses of that particular band. So as an arranger, you have to always be able to adapt to the situation. I know people who play arrangements, they've been playing for years, but it don't sound right. The reason why it doesn't sound right is because the musicians are not the same as when you first wrote it. Sometimes you might write something and it's actually enhanced by the current musicians. Or if I write for another band, like I wrote for the McDonald's High School All-American Band. We had some of the finest high school musicians in the world, in the country, 2 from every state. So I was unlimited in terms of what I can do as an arranger. And at FAMU, I'm kind of unlimited as well. FAMU, I've never had a year where I could not write for certain things because we didn't have enough this, we didn't have enough that. 2013 was a little challenge, but hey, as a musician, you should be able to adapt. And so everything would have some consistency over your tenure. And of course, the thing I like about you is that you have created a very nice sound for your band. And I like that. That sound belongs to Larry, and I like that. That's just being consistent. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Really like when you use that gap. That to me kind of goes to your longevity too. Being able to just do what you do at the highest level for so long. And one more question too. I'll jump out the way, but something, and this can go for both you and Mr. Adams, is I see the camaraderie that you all have, and really everybody from that generation that I've met has so much camaraderie, and you extend that my way. I can call you and bang, you're right there. Why is that important to have that camaraderie, especially between directors at HBCUs?
What gets in the way a lot of times, we have at every university, we have the same kind of students. We have the students with the same issues that everybody else has. And the competition sometimes the extreme competition that's being exerted by the directors, students learn from that. The students watch what the directors do, and then they act out as well. But so it's very important that we maintain a great professional relationship. A lot of the directors, when I was coming up, maybe we were all a part of CBDNA, and we all had symphonic bands. We all did all this stuff. So we were together. We became friends. When you become friends, the competitiveness just go completely out of the window. Because we were friends. Like I take one of our biggest rival, Bethune-Cookman, for instance. Like Donovan Wells and I have been friends forever. It seemed like, and the relationship that we have transcends anything. Now we've got out on the field is something completely different.
Right.
But in terms of personal, we all are great friends. And like when I met Paul the first time, man, it was like we knew each other already. Because we knew of each other's quality of work. And we sit down and we talk shop. I remember I met him at a precision camp one time in Atlanta, and it was like just two guys, doing the same thing, comparing notes. And what we found out is things are different, but yet they're the same. Mm-hmm. And we have had with a lot of the bands, man, we've had good relationships with some of the bands. And then some other bands, the directors are so childish and competitive, and they don't want to be friends because they want to compete. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's something wrong with that picture. I think that we all are professionals, and we should teach our students. We should teach our students to be professional as well as professional musicians. You know, I remember one time at Honda Battle Bands in the early days, man, one school did not want. Now we all in uniform. They didn't want to break their line. What? What difference does it make? I'm trying to get to the sideline. You were standing in the way. I'm not going to go all the way to the 5-yard line just to go to the 50. That's it. And I remember when that happened, the band director got on that kid and said, "No, don't do that. If anybody in uniform want to get, let's move out the way and just let them in. Don't break my line." That's crazy. You know? So a lot of it comes from the top. You know, we've been very fortunate in MEAC that we've had all of our band directors. We were great colleagues, you know, and I think that really makes a difference.
Yeah, I think that's important too. You know, like you said, for the kids' sake, the students' sake, not only to see, but just that we're stronger together. Shoot, a time like this will show that we're stronger together, like what we're going through right now in the world. So, yeah, even in the midst of competition, I agree with you, and I appreciate that. Appreciate everything that you and Mr. Adams have done. I grew up in Virginia, so I've known Mr. Adams for a long time. So, and it's a pleasure to know you as well for as long as I have. So,
I'm not going anywhere.
That's right. And Eddie, I appreciate it too, man.
No, I appreciate you, Larry, man. You always welcome to come back on the show, bro. Anytime you want to, man. Look. Let me try to help Mr. Adams out, man. But I'm gonna go ahead and cue up the next song. This is Florida A&M right here. Here we go.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. I haven't heard that one in a while.
Phenomenal. The use of those woodwinds is just amazing. Phenomenal.
Well,
Hey Larry, if you don't mind, you can be my co-host for a little bit. If you got a little while.
I'm rolling with you, bro.
Okay. Let me try to help Mr. Adams. Go ahead, man.
Well, the thing about that piece, one of my pet peeves when I write music, I try to maintain the integrity of the original song. So many times I hear arrangers and I hear their music, and they're so caught up in the arranging process and trying to do creative things that you lose the essence of what the song is about. You know, and that particular song, I haven't heard that since, I don't know, I forgot what year we did that, but I hadn't heard it. But as I was listening to it, I was just thinking how I've been blessed by having with FLAMU a very year in and year out, very excellent woodwind sections. And I think woodwinds are just as important as brass. The way I write, I blend the woodwind with the brass to knock the edge off to give us a better symphonic sound. And of course, the woodwind, if you notice the concert band selection, the concert band formation, Dr. White would always put the woodwinds down front so they can be heard. You see what I'm saying? So and the brass is in the back of them. So what you're going to get is a blend of the brasses versus woodwinds. And then when I always like to show off my woodwinds, give them a trill here and there, or give them a run that they can play, you know, and they've always appreciated that. And that's just been the fabric of some of our arrangements that we've done in concert. Here again, I would say that the purpose of the concert band is to highlight the musicians of the band. You know, no matter what their levels, I think it's very important that people in the audience can appreciate good music and appreciate these black musicians the way they do. Because, you know, a lot of them not going to play with New York Philharmonic or anything like that, you know, but they are good enough to be heard and to be, you know, it's very important that Dr. Foster and Dr. White and now Shepard Chipman, we all have adapted the same idea that we always should make the music relevant to our audience. And we just always want to play pieces that they can readily identify. And so all of that goes into how pieces are selected. It goes into the arrangement that I do. When we get in a concert band, the way I write for concert band is not the way I would write for a drill, or anything else, because you can't hear the woodwinds on the drill. Right? Be out there marching the drill, or you definitely hear them on the dance routine. So it's very important that as the arranger, you have to write to highlight the musicians that you have in your band. And I see bands where the woodwinds are in the back. So why are they in the first place? You know, they're not going to be highlighted. They're not going to be used. And what's the point? You might as well have an all brass band. So since we have that, that's part of our sound. That's part of that family sound is a blend between the woodwinds and the brasses. I think that's very important. You know, and of course, the other part of it is that when you write concert selection, it's very important that you know every instrument. You have to know the best sound, the best range for every instrument. I hear bands where the arrangements are written out of the playing range of the instrument. So it makes the instrument sound like it should not sound. But I'm very conscious of how a trombone should sound. I know the great ranges of a trombone. I know what the woodwinds sound like. I know what they sound like in the Charlemagne register. I know what they sound like in the clarion register and in the upper register. And trumpets. I know what trumpets. I know the limitations of our trumpet section, where they can play in tune. That's the main thing. Tuning is a very important part of the band tone. And so I take all of these things into consideration when I write all of it. You know, and it's not like I'm putting the puzzle together. No, I'm actually creating something based upon what we have out there on the field. And I remember years, man, we've had some gigantic woodwind sections. So if you got 20-some clarinets and 12, 15, you got about 80 saxophones, what are you going to do with them?
Right.
You got to highlight them in some kind of way. Because when it really comes down to it, arrangers only write for 3 instruments. Trumpets, trombone, and tubas. everybody else blend into what they're doing. And then if you want to write something separate for your alto lines, horn lines, that's fine. But when you have those woodwinds, that becomes a part of what you do. That becomes a part of your sound. And that's what I try to do when I write music, especially concepts like that.
That's free game for the arrangers right there.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Always a method to the madness.
Of course.
Hey, gentlemen, I'm still working with Mr. Adams, but I'm going to go ahead and run. So this is Norfolk's. This is Mr. Adams' selection right here. Here we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Prof. Adam.
All right.
Yeah, but for my Norfolk folks, I have a whole bunch of friends and family who were a part of that band. As I said, I'm from Virginia, went to IC Norfolk, and my mom and dad are Norfolk grads, so I've been following the band for years. That show, insane.
Yes.
That show was insane. So shout out to everybody who was in that band. That is ridiculous. That arrangement is amazing.
All right. So we good, Mr. Adams? Mr. Adams, can you hear me? Hey, can somebody talk to Mr. Adams? Maybe it's my mic.
Hey, can you hear me, Paul? Can you hear us?
This is strange here. All right. We're going to get into. Well, let me ask you a question, Mr. Sargent here. So, Florida A&M will be moving from the MEAC conference to the SWAC. What are your thoughts on this move to this new conference? First off,
I love it. I love the move. I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air, a shot in the arm for all of us. We've been in the MEAC all these years, and the bands in the MEAC are fine. We were. I remember being around some of these bands when they were no more than a real bad high school band. And over the years, they've gotten a lot better over the years. But I think the move to the SWAC is going to be a shot in the arm for us, because it would allow our students. Sometimes we'll go throughout a whole year without facing any other band except Bethune-Cookman at the last game. So to be in the SWAC, knowing that all the SWAC schools that we have pretty good band programs, is going to be something for us to get hyped for. And I think it's very important that that we give their students, their audiences a whole different outlook on bands. You know, they're just accustomed to seeing these bands in the swag. A lot of them haven't really seen and heard Florida A&M. So what we're going to bring to the table is that Florida A&M sound, that Florida A&M way of doing things, and hopefully people will enjoy what we do.
Okay, just a segue into the SWAC right here. This is Mr. Kevin Johnson right here, Mr. Sargent. He is the head arranger over at Jackson State University. So,
oh yeah, how you doing, Kevin?
Yeah.
Good evening. How you doing, everybody?
Doing good.
all right, I just he wanted to come on for a minute or two just to really not pick your brain, but more to introduce himself and just if he had any questions for you. Go ahead, Kev.
First off, it's an absolute pleasure to meet your acquaintance, even though we're on this virtual format. You know, even as a kid, I grew up in New Orleans, and I remember FAMU coming down there a couple of times when I was in middle school and high school, and just being, you know, amazed at seeing a program like that at such a young age. Hopefully, we can get Mr. Adams back in here as well, because I'd like to actually ask both of you this question. From your vast experiences, and this I think this is really going to hit. Hopefully, it'll hit a whole lot of band directors and give people some insight into what you do as an instructor, as a director, as an arranger, and everything. I don't think that people realize how involved building a program and maintaining that style and everything is. So, if you could step back into your first year, like right before you're about to head into your classroom, if you could head yourself off at the door and give yourself some advice, just hopefully, you know, for all of the younger band directors out here, what would you tell yourself from your vast experience before you walked into your band room that first day?
That's a very easy question. You know, I talk about this a lot. And one of the biggest mistakes that I made as a young professor, you have to remember, now, I started when I was 23 years old. I was a college professor at age 23, but my first mistake is walking into the band room, assuming that all of these kids were grown. 18 years old, no, they were just in 13th grade, 14th grade. So they're just young and immature, you know, and of course, you know, I didn't understand that at that time because I was young as well. But I think that in retrospect, that played a very important part of how we all did our work during that particular time.
Okay. If you could move to about the halfway point of your career, when you've got some experience now, you've been working as an instructor for a minute, you've seen, you've experienced, you've met a whole bunch of students, you've influenced buckets and buckets of band directors at this point, even just halfway through your career. Now, what would you tell yourself at that point?
Well, perhaps write more music. You know, but we always, you know, writing more music. I mean, like, there are two kinds of music that you write. You write music for the stands, and you write music for the field. My concentration have always been on the field. And what I've tried to do all these years, even midterm, I've tried to leave a lot of the stand music for my arranging students, to give them a platform to play their arrangements. So a lot of things that you may hear in the stands may not be my arrangements at all. It can be arrangements of my students from the class. And of course, because I'm not going to let them pass out something that's not necessarily good. But I think I would have perhaps written more for stand, but in just terms of operation, see, we had a different format at Florida A&M, where I wasn't a band director in the real sense. You know, I was part of the band staff and I helped out in almost every area, but my primary responsibility was writing music for the band. We have a specialist almost every area of our program. Director, then you have your woodwind specialist, you have your brass wind specialist, you have your percussion guy. You know, and all I do is write music. I remember Dr. Foster telling me, he said, I don't want you to dress out, you don't have to dress out in uniform. I just want you to write the music for the band. That was my job, in writing music. But I just wish that I had written a lot more, you know, doing that time, a lot more stand music for the band.
Okay.
But I think we did a good job with that.
Obviously your forte or preference is for older music, which is, like you've said earlier, has way more meat and potatoes than some of the more modern stuff.
But not only, let me say, some of the modern stuff is good too. Some of the modern stuff is very, very good. But you have to sort it out. You just can't. Every song that make the top 10 may not be the song that a marching band should play.
Understood.
And so you have to be very discriminating with new school music as opposed to old school music. I remember the time we used to hear music during the summer. We said, man, we've got to play this. We've got to play this. But all the new songs now, you're hitting and missing because you really, some music will not sound good when you try to do a band arrangement. It just won't work. People, your artists may recognize what the song is, but you can't put any meat and potatoes on the song because there's nothing there.
Well,
so that's a real big that's a real serious issue for me.
Well, my question to that effect was, I don't think there's anybody that could listen to a ballad that you've arranged for FAMU and not hear the conviction and the passion in the music that you have arranged for that program. And how do you feel? You said that you didn't necessarily work as band staff, but how do you make sure that your message in the music was conveyed to the students, and then in listening to them perform it for the listener, how do you want to make that whatever came from your heart kind of reach the listener and the students as well?
Man, I was very fortunate when I was younger, and I had Dr. William P. Foster, who would take my arrangements, and after I had written the arrangement, after I passed out, then Dr. Foster would come and rehearse, and he would bring things out of the arrangement that I didn't even realize was there. So he would always enhance my arrangement with his musicality and interpretation. Dr. Julian White did exactly the same thing. I would do an arrangement, and Julian would listen to it, and then he would rehearse the band, and he would put a Julian White spin on it. It's like Dr. Foster put a Dr. Foster spin on it. And I used to sit back and just marvel at how their musicianship, how it just brought certain things out of the arrangement. I sit back and say, damn, did I write that? And it's always fun to do that. Now I have Dr. Shelby Chipman, who is band director. He's a spitting image of Dr. Foster and Dr. White. He learned from both of them. And so he's able to pull things out of the music that I didn't even realize. And I enjoy that, Dr. Foster, people ask me a lot of times about why did I write my introductions or endings in certain ways, because I call them Foster endings. Because Foster was a very flamboyant conductor, and he wanted to do a lot of things. And so I wrote the music that way, and then Dr. White the same way, and now Dr. Chipman the same way. So it's always a pleasure, for me. I've just been fortunate, to have those directors to interpret almost all of my music. I get up there and rehearse the piece, just get all the notes down and the phrasing right. But then they come on and put that icing on it.
So you do get a chance to actually communicate with the students as well. Okay.
I rehearse every piece, every note to make sure it's the way that I need it to be. Then they come in and put their own interpretation on it. And that's what I enjoy. I enjoy them doing that. I don't mind it. So sometimes I'll say, maybe not. Maybe we need to slow that one down. Maybe we need to do X, Y, and Z. But we always collaborate. We always collaborate. Especially Dr. Foster would rehearse the band, and he'll turn around and look at me and say, "Is that okay?" I said, "Of course."
Okay, that's awesome that you had that kind of give and take with the conductors to get that message across.
Absolutely. And let me tell you this, and I'm gonna say this reverently. But since I've been arranging for Florida A&M all these years, do you know I've never had to do a rewrite?
That's an amazing achievement.
Dr. White never asked me to go back and rearrange it. It didn't sound good. Dr. Foster never did that. He never did.
That's awesome that you maintain that level of consistency.
Maintain that quality. That's correct. Mm-hmm. And it motivates me. It motivates me. I sit right here and I do my arrangements. And you know what? And I remember the time when I was young, I would do an arrangement and I would hate to hear it. Because I'm so critical of myself. oh man, I wish I could have done this. And so I said to myself, and Dr. Foster told me, he said, if you ever do an arrangement and you think that arrangement is the bomb, he said, that's when it's going to suck the most. So I'm never satisfied with anything that I've done. But if you give me a second chance to do it, I'm going to do it differently. I know exactly what to do. But sometimes, you know, when you got a show to do on Saturday and you pass the music out on Monday or Tuesday, you don't have time to rewrite. And so you're stuck with it, you know. But in recent years, because I was using, see, y'all don't realize, man, I'm from the old school, man. We wrote music out by hand. These young guys, man, y'all got computers and stuff. I used to sit down at home and make these 8.5 by 11 scores, 11 by 17 scores, and write out every part for everybody, you know. But now we got a computer to do all that. Things that used to take me 18 hours to do, I can do it now in 2 hours. Yeah. Everything that take me 2 hours to do, I can do in 30 minutes. Everything I did in 30 minutes take me 5. So that's how great the computer has been. But I remember the time for the first 25 years of my writing, I was doing it all by hand. All the stuff I did for McDonald's was all written by hand. And then I would hire copies, copy the music, and stuff like that.
Hey, gentlemen, real quick, Mr. Adams, how's the audio? Can you hear us? Okay. All right. Hey, I think what we're going to have to do, because we have to have both of you on the show, you know, fully engaged, and I think that we'll be doing a disservice if we don't have that full engagement. So we may have to go ahead and postpone, unfortunately, because we're going to get Mr. Adams' connection. Everything's going to get run. You know, it ran smooth for the test connection earlier. I mean, for the test run, but for some reason we're having issues now. So I think that's, you know, in the best interest of the, you know, just for the fans and, you know, obviously for your time, Mr. Sargent and Mr. Adams, we may need to postpone, unfortunately. Mr. Adams, can you hear us? No. Okay. So is that okay with you, Mr. Sargent?
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm available whenever you reschedule.
Okay. I know everybody is let down. I'm let down. Everybody is, you know, looking forward. So we're gonna do this, y'all. Let's get Mr. Adams' connection right, and we're gonna do it the right way. So let's do that. Hey, Larry Jenkins and Kev Johnson, thank you for your time. We'll get you back on the next time we do it, because you know, I really enjoy the dialogue. You know, I'm not an arranger, and you definitely can pose the right questions for these two gentlemen right here. So I appreciate y'all's engagement.
No problem, bro.
Hey, Mr. Adams, can you hear us? Okay. All right. Okay, let's do that. So thank you for your time, and Mr. Sargent, I will call you after this show as well as Mr.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right.
Good seeing you again, Mr. Jenkins.
Hey, good seeing you too.
Good to see you all. Good to see you.
All right.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Sargent.
Okay, sure enough.
Okay. All right, y'all. You know, sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles, and we're going to get this right. We did a test run earlier. I always do that for my shows. I make sure everything works, you know, the way that it should. So it may be a storm in the area. I don't know. It could be anything. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get it right. Make sure everything is good on both ends, and then I'm going to send out the update for the reshoot of this show. Okay, so. Mr. Larry Jenkins will be on Show Style Talk tomorrow. Make sure you follow Show Style Talk on YouTube and Facebook. He will be on the show tomorrow as a guest, so make sure you get over there. Thank you for tuning in for this partial show. We will do this again very soon, okay? I'm going to check on the schedule, or Mr. Adams and Mr. Sargent's schedule, and we're going to get back on this thing, okay? Thank y'all for tuning in. Go ahead and subscribe so that way you're notified when I do release the new date. Hit the bell and it lets you know and everything. You know, it'll prompt you once I make the new announcement, okay? Yeah, I'm let down, but we're going to get it going. Look, y'all have a good evening. Stay safe, stay inside. You know, if you I don't even know what to say. Meet me on the 50, okay? I'll talk to y'all later. Out of here.